I got a complaint, and that's how I would have to classify it as. I was ordered by the grand jury before July 1st. I've got to pay the grand jury back $4,000 in travel. And now I look at this budget, and it looks to my travel account here is going to be reduced by $4,000. So for the 3rd District Supervisor, that's an $8,000 decrease in his travel allowance in 1 year. That's that basically, I don't know if I'll have enough to get home on. Anyways, so I'm not saying I disagree with it. I had to register that as a complaint. Another comment I'd like to make: if you look at the Board of Supervisors projected, even with the cost and the salary increases, the net county cost has actually dropped by $6,000 for the Board of Supervisors budget. And the clerk of the board, with all the extra tasks that we've assigned the clerk of the board in the last year, their budget is only actually going up about $4,000. So I think that sets the example of holding the line, although I think the 3rd District Supervisor budget unit has far exceeded the line, and I'm not real happy with that.
I think that's where the clerk of the board's budget increase came from, John. Supervisor Colfax.
Well, I don't know whether I should complain or just ask for information on that same issue as to how that's being sorted out, because I have problems with the distribution in place right now, but I certainly don't anticipate a reduction in terms of the amount permitted. Of course, the grand jury is not going after me for any money, because they don't want to waste their time.
All I can respond is say they got it all.
Is that all of your comments, Supervisor Colfax?
It's all until I hear from somebody else.
Mr. Mitchell.
Jennifer can chime in a little bit. As we went through the budget, we looked at some of the historical spending patterns of the board, and you did have savings in this current year's budget once we made adjustments for the new policies that we're going through. In the case of Supervisor Pinches, we because of he's so fond of his district that he seldom travels outside of his district. We did delete the money to go to the CSAC conference in San Diego this year, and we did also because of a differing role for our board chair and whoever will move into that assignment next year with NACO. We didn't include funding for all of the NACO conferences. There are as we've discussed, there are a number of new opportunities that are coming up, having to do both with the Coastal Counties Initiative, wave energy, and so forth. And it may require some additional augmentation before we get the final budget, but that will be based upon an assessment of the new priorities that we have coming down the pike for us. So we do intend to look at that line item.
Supervisor
Just
Pinches.
to further comment on that, you know, I'm not assuming I'll be chairman of the board next year, but I think I have a good chance in that. And there are other assignments that maybe I want to go out of town on other than CSAC or NACO, so which the chairman right now can, I think you acknowledge that it takes a lot of out-of-county travel. And so to reduce my budget that, you know, and then before July 1st, I got to give Meredith a personal check for $4,000 to appease the grand jury. So I just think an $8,000, which is going to show as a positive fund balance carryover. So, but I think that's a lot to ask for from the third district supervisor's seat. Not necessarily from me, but from the, you know, I don't get an electronic stipend or anything of that for the computers, all that. So I just think that that's a maybe it was an easy place to take it. And I'm not saying to change it, leave it there. But I guess I just wanted the public out there to know that the 3rd District is doing what they can to meet the, make sure we have a balanced budget.
Well, we appreciate your frugal efforts, and you know, at a time when the board is being criticized by the grand jury, at the same time when the grand jury has exceeded its travel budget, I think there's some comment that needs to be made from those statements.
That's exactly why I made them.
Thank you.
Okey dokey then, any further comments? Ms. Wyatt, please continue.
Okay. Well, that concludes. We're down at the bottom, and basically, we have a balanced budget that we have recommended to you temporarily, and we will be looking at some funding adjustments during the final budget. If the board has any further questions, overall questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I've concluded.
Supervisor Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we could revisit the Teeter plan for a minute, that's on our final page here. We have under CEO recommendations, including auditor, insurance, market, and vehicle replacement adjustments to departments, $2,400,000 is in that column. So that is the recommended amount that we should be paying on the Teeter plan? Is that?
Ms. Glassy will be talking about that next, but basically, out of the $5.1 million that is owed to the Teeter plan, or that's the debt on the Teeter plan, we're paying 2.8. 2.6 plus another 200,000. That 200,000 represents an additional amount payment.
So the additional amount, the sum total of the additional amount that we referenced earlier in our discussion this morning on, I think the auditor said we're not doing all that we would like to do, but we're taking it one step further. We're making an additional payment. Is that the additional amount, that 200,000?
Yes, it is.
So that's all we've really accomplished in terms of?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that. Thank you.
Supervisor Delbar.
Well, to continue on this,
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
we had a schedule, we were supposed to have had a payment schedule to get this down to where it's, every year we're up with it. The statements at the beginning of this exercise this morning was that we're not making this year's payment to the degree we'd like to. What was that supposed to be? And how much of the payment is being used as a funding source, which is what's got us into this mess years ago? Or did I just misunderstand the 4 times I heard that statement made this morning?
I was going to go over that in my section, but I can just jump into it if you want. That's looking at it from the standpoint of, could you maybe? That putting all the revenues into the Teeter account that come in from Teeter, as well as the scheduled payment, we should have about $5.1 million that would have been added to that account this year. Instead, what's happening is, although we're kind of putting the money in the account, we're taking some of the money back out. So what is being left in the account is the payment, which I guess is 2.6, plus 200,000. And what is being pulled out is about